Hi, everybody. So we are being recorded both on the Zoom and Northwest Access TV is here. We're having a couple technical things and we don't want to delay starting any longer. So unfortunately, we're not going to be streaming the full picture of the board to the folks on Zoom. But what we've got going is we're each on Zoom and Suzanne's right here too. And so we can all see you and then you can see us. And so that's how we're going to run it tonight. So hopefully that still works for everybody. We'll call the meeting to order at 6:37. The first order of business is to review and make any changes to the agenda. Does anybody have any changes or additions to be made to the agenda? Okay, great. With no changes to be made, we'll move on to the review and approval of the February 21st board meeting minutes. Is there a motion to approve the minutes as written?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of
Great.
February 21.
Is there a second?
A second.
Great. Is there any discussion on the minutes? Not hearing any discussion, we'll vote. All those in favor of approving the minutes as written, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Great. Motion carries. Awesome. So the next item, which I initially forgot to put up on the warning that was posted the first time, is just the annual board organization. So this is the first meeting after town meeting. The incumbents got reelected. Congratulations, Leanne.
Thank you very much. Congratulations to you.
Thank you. So we don't have a whole lot of physical reorganization. However, both Leanne and I still need to take our oaths of office. I got mine done earlier today. Just swing by when Liz has got you, and that'll get you covered for the next term. Election of officers. So election of chair and vice chair are typically the two officer positions that we have. Are there any nominations for the position of chair?
I nominate Charlie. I will second that nomination.
Great. So nominations don't need to be seconded technically.
But I'm still happy to do
I
it.
appreciate the enthusiasm. Are there any other nominations for chair? All right, hearing none, we'll close nominations. All those in favor of Charlie Hancock serving as board chair for the 1-year term, please signify by saying aye, raising your hand.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Great, motion carries. Thank you for your support. Great. Next, we've got nominations for vice chair. Are there any nominations for vice chair?
I'll nominate Leanne.
Great. A nomination for Leanne as vice chair. Are there any other nominations? Hearing no other nominations, we'll vote. All those in favor, we'll close nominations and then we'll vote. All those in favor of Leanne serving as vice chair for the ensuing year, please signify by saying aye, raising your hand.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Great. Congratulations, Leanne. Elected vice chair. Yes. Yeah. Unfortunately, if multiple of us have our mic on, it creates a feedback loop. So we're recording the vote here, and then when the video of the meeting is posted, you'll be able to see the hands. So I apologize for that. This mic is clear enough on this one that if everybody speaks loudly, you should be able to hear them. But unfortunately, we don't have everybody mic'd the way we want to. Sorry about that. Okay, next part of board organization is designation of regular meeting schedule, newspaper of record, and posting locations. So I'd like to take this all in one motion just to make it easy. what I would do is I would move that we do the first and third Monday of each month as the regular meeting. The newspaper of records remains the St. Albans Messenger.
I'd like to go back to the Courier.
You do?
I mean, the Messenger's not even in town. They don't sell it in
They don't?
town.
No.
They stopped
No.
selling it in the Jolly?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
We totally
No.
can. So the reasoning behind the messenger was that it used to be at least a daily, if not a multiple times a week. So it helped with just meeting posting requirements. But if they're not even selling it in town, then
I haven't seen it.
yeah, and that's fine. Ever since our
Yeah.
work taught them anyway, they've turned into like
Yeah.
18 ways to decorate your pumpkin. I mean, at least the Courier is sports.
Phew, excuse me.
Okay, so I will amend the motion to be the regular meeting schedule of the first and third Monday of the month, the County Courier as the newspaper of record, and the posting locations at the post office, the 2 post offices, and town office here on Mountain Road.
Do you want to say 6:30 p.m.?
Sure. And so friendly amendment from Suzanne that 6:30 p.m. will be the start time for the meetings. So again, the motion on the table is that the regular meeting schedule will be the first and third Monday of the month at 6:30 p.m. The newspaper of record be the County Courier, and the posting locations be the 2 post office and the town office here on Mountain Road. And then of course the website in addition to that, which is required because we have a website. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Great. We have a second from Leanne. Is there any discussion?
When is it that our 98 Main post office will be closing?
Yeah, so again, the question was, what is the status of the 98 Main Street location? So that lease runs out in the fall. At that point, we'll have to make the call of what to do with the future of the building, depending on their response to us.
So can we write this in as until
Well, we can always vote to amend it at that point.
at that point?
Yeah, so this can stand until we need to amend it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but good question. You know, if that building disappears,
Great.
a post in the ground.
We'll put the sandwich board out.
Yeah. Any other discussion on the motion? All right, hearing none, please signify by raising your hand or saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Great, motion passes 5-0 unanimous. Review internal procedures and Vermont open meeting laws. So everybody on the board should be familiar with these. We don't need to spend much time going over with them. If you are bored some night and can't sleep, feel free to pull out them or the open meeting laws and review them. But we're going to be following the same protocols that we have before. The one thing on the open meeting laws that I will note, it's been requested a couple times, and we try to do this, but anytime that we need to go into executive session, we should either list on the warning itself the statutory portion that's applicable to, or when we do it during the meeting, make sure that we state that, just so that it's clear to everybody what the reason is and the justification for going into an executive session if we need to. The one thing about internal board procedures that I will make a note of, back when the pandemic was in full swing and we moved to remote meetings, if folks remember, we passed a motion that would allow warrants to just be signed by 2 people. The idea was that we didn't want a lot of people in the office. It was harder to get everybody together. And so we wanted 2 signatures on the warrants. What I would move to do now is go back to having the warrants be a majority of signatures. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second that motion.
Great. So we have a second from Emily. Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing no discussion, we'll vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Great, motion carries 5-0. Approval, so we're back to having the warrants needing to be signed by a majority of the board, not just 2 people. Next two items here are just review established areas of responsibility. So again, we'll just carry this forward the way we've been doing it. Essentially, areas of responsibility are whatever area a board member wants to tackle or take on. So for example, Emily's been leading up the discussion about the website lately. So with those kinds of projects, as members want to or see a need, feel free to jump on them. But we don't need to assign anything formally at this point. Last one on here is a conflict of interest policy. We've all signed the conflict of interest policy. There is no date term on the policy, so we will just carry forward the signatures that we've got from everybody. Just be aware that that conflict of interest policy is still in effect as a policy of the board. And that takes us through board organization. Is there anything else regarding board organization anyone at the table has got for discussion? Great. Not hearing anything, we will now move on to public works. First up is roads and bridges. Mark, do you want to start by giving just an update on how things are at? And for doing this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to mute, and then Emily, do you want to turn yours on? That way you might can catch them.
Okay, as far as grants, I'm trying to line up the contractors right now so that I can get on their schedule for the year, for the grant work we have to do. So I'm getting that scheduled.
Great.
We're pretty much, the snow melted down quite a bit over the last couple of days, and we went and checked everything today. We just had one culvert up on Black Falls that was frozen, but we get that going, so the water's flowing through that. So all the water seems to be going where it's supposed to be. We had earlier we had a culvert up on Reagan Road. It was frozen, but we went up and got that one going too.
Good.
So as long as it keeps, plowing slow, that'll be good. There is a little bit of some muddy spots here and there, but nothing too bad yet. But we'll be taking the side blade off the grader and the front, so then the grader will be ready to go if we need it. So we're planning on doing that tomorrow. Just getting everything together.
Great. And we do still have material staged at the garage for use should we need it. Everything from a certain size stone to so that if stuff hits the fan again, we're trying to we'll be ready as ready as we can. Right?
Yeah, we've got some stuff there, so if we need to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
And then I've got Billy lined up too if we need to get him in the grader or whatever. So
good.
Yeah. So trying to get it all lined up.
Excellent. Great.
So we aren't caught by surprise.
Yeah. Well, we'll play it by ear. I mean, this is
every year it can be different.
Every year is different.
Yeah.
So we'll keep an eye on things as they go.
Yeah.
Good. Any other updates regarding roads? Okay. Great. So the next item up here is just the streetscape tap project. Right now, we're just waiting to get back the signed paperwork from Abe and Jade. I reached out to them again today to see if we can get that back. That should be in hand hopefully in the next couple of days, and that should take care of all the paperwork requirements we've got. Other than that, Linda is keeping the ball rolling, looking at getting started on that in the spring. So the other item here under roads and bridges, Mark, is just the Vermont League of Cities and Towns inspection and the next steps for the grant application. So do you want to give a brief recap of the VLCT inspection and what we need to do next?
Yep. So I think we met on a week ago Friday. I met with VLTC and went around to all the buildings and did an inspection. Everything looked pretty good. There's a few little things here and there, but he's going to send me a report. So then whatever we need to fix, we'll get it taken care of. But there was nothing major.
Okay.
Everything looked pretty good. But then they have this grant, a passive grant, PACIF grant, and we're eligible for up to $6,000 without any match. Usually there's a match, but this year there isn't. So I was looking at, we need to get some of those cabinets for like storing fuel and cleanables. And probably get 2 for the garage and then get 1 for here for the fire department. Because we have quite a bit of stuff in the garage. So they're around 1,000 a piece.
Okay.
Three of those. So that'll be about 3,000. And then there's other things that are eligible. So I'll look over the list and see, like eye wash stations. We need a couple eye wash stations in the garage. So I'll try to get a couple of those. And, try to get as close to 6,000 as we can.
Okay.
And, yeah.
Is this money that you could use for any of the stuff you need up at the water stations?
There is a few things. There's a list right there. Here, if you go on the website, you can see the list of VLTC, and if anybody sees anything that they think we need on the list. But it's like for backup cameras and like battery disconnects on the vehicles and stuff like that, eye wash stations, and then like chairs, like those chairs you stand up, but we don't need it. Well, I think Erin said she might want one here or something. So
Okay.
So I'll talk to them too and see what they we need here. And I'll get it in as soon as possible because it's almost like first come first serve. So try to get that done right off. I was looking at cabinets today. So
Okay. Great.
So I'll get that in right off.
Okay, great. So that's pending submission by Mark, and again, we'll try to max out the $6,000 on that one. So good.
Yeah.
Great. Mark, any updates on buildings and grounds on your end?
No, we got the Grange Hall open back up and everything was fine there. Out of the town hall, and we got that open back up. Everything seemed to be fine there. After doing the inspection, the building was pretty good. So,
Good. Okay, great. Awesome. So a couple other things on the buildings and grounds that we've got. If you do me a favor, and we'll go back and mute. Great. Just a quick note under buildings and grounds on the 98 Main Street location, because it did come up in conversation, I think at our last meeting about the post office. We still have not heard anything from the U.S. Postal Service, but the question or the topic of the Elmore post office was brought up. And I did do a little bit of digging since then, and the USPS actually reversed that decision based on local pushback. So that is kind of encouraging that the closure of that post office was reversed due to the outcry from folks in the community. So it does show that, if they were to pull that here, there is a track record of success for essentially screaming as loud as we can. So hopefully it won't come to that, but I just wanted to make a note of that since we had talked about that last time. And as far as I know, the work with the PSB renovation committee is progressing. The last thing that was done there is Liz and some others sat down with the architects to kind of go over their drawings with him, and he was going to transcribe them into more of a formal set of drawings.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, Mark attended that. Great. Sue, I see you have your hand up. Do you have a question on this item?
Yes, Charlie, I just wanted to know when the final plans are made and the final cost is determined, do we have to have a special town meeting to vote? How does that work?
Yeah, so since the plan is to not go for a bond vote and not incur debt, what we're trying to do is use the ARPA funds for this. So if the renovation costs come in where we can cover them using the ARPA funds, the board has the ability to essentially execute on that. My recollection of state statute is that the board is required to go to the voters for an expenditure that involves the incursion of debt for a period of more than 3 years, and there might also be a dollar sum associated with voter approval. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head. But the goal here would be to get the work done here using ARPA funding. And I should add too that once we have the plans and the numbers together, we would try to go after additional grant resources and use the ARPA funds essentially as the town match. So for example, if the renovations cost $300,000 and we could use say 25 or 75 of the ARPA funds as a match component, we would try to leverage as much money as possible. So that's the plan for that. If there's no objection, we'll try to buzz through Water Commission real quick and then hit visitors so we're not too far behind schedule. Mark, do you have any updates for the Water Commission? Anything?
No,
Yeah.
we just had to do a bunch of sampling for this quarter and get that done.
Okay.
We got a few issues at the water plant, but we gotta get some actuators and stuff, and we gotta get those ordered.
Okay.
I seem to be able to keep things running.
Okay. So there's no significant updates other than just status quo for that.
Yes.
The next item on here is the hydrologic modeling project. So we've discussed this with the board in the past. This is to do hydrologic modeling of the water system to better inform the management of it. The engineers at Royal Tanner are working with us on this, and if folks remember, we did receive funding in the amount of $40,000 through it's a loan, but it is a forgivable loan. There is a article in here that states pretty clearly the loan principal and loan principal forgiveness are equal, therefore there is no repayment schedule. So it's a loan, but it's a loan that's forgiven when the project is done. So at the end of the day, it will come out net zero. So we have the loan paperwork in hand this evening just for signature. And so what I would ask the board to do is sign off on this tonight. And I will just make a motion that the board adopt the loan agreement for the project. So the motion is, will the board adopt the loan agreement for the hydraulic modeling project as presented?
I'll say it.
Great, we have a second from Suzanne. Is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion, we'll call the question. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Great, the motion carries 5-0. So at the end of the meeting, we'll get the signatures on this. We'll get it back to the state, and that'll keep that going. Only other update on Water Commission is just the Reading Road Pump Station project, and I'm still trying to finalize the easement paperwork with the landowner. Now, since we're past town meeting, got a little bit more free time. Hope to get that done in the next week or so. So pending spring for that work.
Mm-hmm.
And then really briefly, the Longley Bridge Tap project. Like I said, we're just waiting for the signed paperwork back from Ed and Jade before we can move forward with easement of right of way for the project. Other than that, everything's pending to go come the spring. That brings us to visitors. And so usually we go when the order folks came, but I would like to go to Marlena first because she's on the agenda. She asked to come speak with us tonight about a project that she's running. So with that, I would give the floor to you, Marlena. Please take it away. Feel free to introduce yourself and give us some background.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm Marlena Valenta. I'm the new energy and climate planner for the Northwest Regional Planning Commission. So kind of one of my reasons of being here tonight is just to introduce in that role that, I am here to help municipalities, support municipalities in any kind of energy or climate related tasks or projects. There's a lot of funding, obviously, as you know, especially related to energy and climate. And so any help that I can provide, I'm here. And along those same lines, I'm trying to put together a window dressers community build for this coming fall. So I don't know if you're all aware, but we only have one energy committee in our region in Swanton, one municipal energy committee, and we're just restarting our regional energy committee. So there's not a lot of community movement around energy and climate. We do have conservation commissions, which are awesome and do a lot of great work. So this project, Window Dressers, helps to create affordable insulating window inserts for residents. And it uses, they're a nonprofit, they're based in Maine and they do all throughout New England. And they basically use like a community driven process to keep the prices really, really low. So they use volunteers to do the measuring of the windows, and then volunteers and customers build the inserts together at a build in the fall. And so they're really effective. They save about a gallon of heating fuel for every square foot of window they cover. So they do have a pretty big impact, and they cost a lot less than replacing windows. So this is something, and also I think probably the most important part is that they offer free window inserts to low-income families. So low-income people in the region can sign up. There's no need to prove income. It's basically kind of a pay what you can situation. And so people can get free window inserts. And that, is really helpful in an area like this with a really old housing stock and where people often struggle to pay their heating bills. So yeah, that's kind of the spiel, and it's going to be taking place at the Enosburg Opera House, so nice and close. And people can go on the website and just sign up. Someone will come to their house, measure the windows, and let them know exactly how much they would cost. And then, if people can afford it, that's great. If not, we have money to cover that. And we have, I was at the Conservation Commission meeting, I think last week, and I gave out a bunch of pamphlets. I can come by and drop some off at the public service building. And, we're really trying to get the word out. So if any of you have ideas for organizations that would be good partners or good places, Parma was super, on top of it, talking about Meals on Wheels and getting them into homes of seniors. So yeah, that, like, if anyone has ideas like that, I can give everyone my email. Charlie should already have it because I emailed about this. So if you want to forward that around, please feel free. Yeah, Sue, do you have a question?
Mute, Sue.
Yes, you just said something about you're starting at the Enosburg Opera House. What do you mean?
Yeah, so in the fall, there'll be 1 week where everyone comes together and builds the inserts. So
I got it.
Yeah, and that will be taking place at the Opera House. They very generously allowed us to use their space for free. So, all the measuring, all of the ordering will take place up till the fall. And then in the fall, we'll take 1 week and build all of the inserts. And I have a little mini one right here. You can see this is what it looks like. And they just, they sit in the window, they come out, you don't need to nail them or anything. And they last, they say to 10 years, and they pay for themselves in less than 2 years.
Is that for just double hung windows, or can it also be for casement windows?
I think it fits virtually all windows. And they custom fit them to whatever size you have. So yeah.
Great.
Okay.
Is it just for homeowners, or can renters apply for this?
Renters can absolutely get them. And that's the nice thing about, they're not a huge investment and they pay for themselves pretty quickly. So if you're in a rental space and you're going to be there for 2 years, they're already going to pay for themselves. And you could even look at selling them on to either the next renter or having the landlord buy them from you. But yeah, absolutely. There's no limits on who can get them. They're even like businesses or municipal buildings can look at getting them. They're completely open to everyone.
Great.
Can you email your information pamphlet to the select board, and I can put it in the newsletter, which hopefully I'll get out in the next day or two.
Absolutely, I will do that. That's a great idea. Thank you.
Perfect. And just to clarify, did you say that the signups for this are kind of already open and then will be open into the fall until the build happens?
Yep, that's exactly correct. So either you can contact me directly, people who want to sign up, my email and phone number are out there, but also windowdressers.org. You can go on there and there's like a very simple It's like an order form, but it doesn't contract you to anything. You don't have to put in credit card information or anything. It just says, hey, I want these and I want them in this area. And that basically tells window dressers there's people for the community build in our area. So yeah, the website has a lot of really great information. It shows more like about the specific pricing. They're on average $44 for an insert, but it gives you more specific information. It looked like someone had raised their hand.
Larry, did you have a question? Just come off mute, Larry. Are you able to unmute? Are you able to unmute, Larry?
I thought I had.
There you go.
I'm
There it
sorry.
is.
No, it's okay. Go ahead with your
Yes,
question.
I wanted you to hold up the sample again, please, and better
Yeah,
describe it. So I see these two small places where you can actually see outside. Is that the extent of what you would see in a normal insert?
No, I mean, this one's very small. So the width of the wood would be the same, but obviously in a big window where it would sit in, there would be a lot more light, and this would take up, usually it would be kind of in the area that is already covered by wood. When you see on the website, they have pictures of them in the window and you can't really notice they're in. And the crossbar is only on ones of a certain size. So most smaller ones don't have any crossbar on them. So it's a pine frame, and then it's 2 layers of polyolefin plastic. And it's like a pretty durable, very see-through plastic. And then a foam to, create a seal. And also people who get them, and then if they do get punctured or they just wear out, the foam wears out, you can get them rewrapped for about $15. So you can reuse the same frames over and over, and the price is significantly less expensive.
Thank you very much.
I don't know if anyone. Yeah, absolutely.
I think anybody who's had to do the plastic thing with the hair dryer and like, this sounds like a lot less of a pain in the ass.
Yep.
Anybody else have any questions for Marlena? Great. I think this is a great project. Everybody here, I think this is great. So what we'll do is we'll get the information. We can get it up in the newsletter. We'll get it up on the website, get it out on the Montgomery Bulletins page on Facebook, and then we'll see if we can drum up some business for you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you letting me come and kind of give my spiel today. And yeah, thank you so much. Have a great day, great night.
Awesome. Thank you. You're welcome. Oh, okay. You're welcome. Better things to do, yes. No hurt feelings here. Awesome. So we'll now go through visitors. So I think when I popped the meeting up, I think Sue, you were one of the first people to pop up. Do you have anything for visitors tonight, Sue? Nope. Parma, I think you were one of the first ones to pop up too. I know we've got the grant application on here. Was that what you're here tonight to discuss?
Yeah, we need the full board approval.
Perfect. Well, let's jump down to that. And so if folks remember, we'll circle back to them. Yeah. So if folks remember, Parma did come talk to the board about the Montgomery Cares for Our Seniors project. Sorry, my brain is like too many meetings. I can't remember who talked about what. So I think what Parma found out was that Montgomery Cares for Our Seniors, as the organization is currently formed, can't apply for the grant, but would need the town to apply for it. And so Montgomery Cares for Our Seniors is going to apply for a $1,200 grant from Sparks. A Spark grant is a state. It is a state funding entity, correct, Parma?
Yes.
Yep.
No, it's the Vermont Community Foundation.
It's through VCF.
It's a
Okay.
grant through the Vermont Community Foundation.
Okay, so it must be through one of their funds. Okay, so VCF, great. So I think you can apply for up to 3,000, but you're looking for 1,200, it sounds like.
Yes.
Okay, great. So what I would move is that the board authorizes Parma Jewett to apply for a Spark grant to support the Montgomery Cares for Our Seniors program on behalf of the board. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second that.
Great, we have a second from Leanne. Is there any other discussion? Or Parma, is there anything that you'd like to add before the vote?
No, we explained everything.
Great.
Sue might want to add something, I don't know. But I think
Oh.
we're all set. All we need is your vote.
Great, I think Emily had a question. Emily, do you want to?
Just looking for clarification, it sounds like you need the apply through the town as opposed to through the organization that you're, can you just?
Yes,
give me
it has to
clarity
be.
on that?
It has to be a nonprofit 501c3 or through a municipality. You can't apply for your
And-
personal.
And so your Montgomery Cares for the Seniors it's not a 501c3.
No, it isn't.
No, that's why we're applying through the town.
Right.
So we don't, we're not gonna ask you for any money. We don't expect anything, but
No, I understand that. I'm just
Okay.
trying to chase down why it is that the town needs to apply for it as opposed to the organization that you're creating.
Well, to get a 501c3, it takes you months to get that.
Yep,
Yeah,
I've done it.
Don't,
It's a lot of work.
yeah, I would invite, if you don't have to, don't do it.
Right.
and there's only three of us, on this board.
And
Okay.
so then how does the
Not a
accounting
board.
work for that money that comes in? It comes into the town and it needs to get handled through.
Yeah, so we would have Aaron set up a flow through one of the existing accounts, probably through, I don't know, we have to figure out with Aaron what to do, but because it would be a pass through, we would set it up with Aaron so that it would come in and we'd earmark it to something. Yeah,
It'd be
And-
basically like the community gardens. We give them the money and then we give them a receipt and they write us back.
Right.
That type of,
yeah,
Right.
so Aaron would still be managing the flow of the funds.
Of the,
Right.
of the grant,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay, great. Any other discussion on the motion? Okay, hearing none, we will call the question. All those in favor of authorizing Parma Jewett to apply for a Spark grant to support the Montgomery Cares for Our Seniors program on behalf of the board, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Great, motion carries 5-0. So you're authorized to go ahead and apply, Parma. So let me know if you need any, if you need anything signed, I'll happy to do it. Otherwise, you're authorized.
it's all
to-
filled out. All I gotta do is press submit.
Great, we'll go ahead and press submit.
It's probably by 5 o'clock, so
Okay, great,
thank you
perfect.
so much.
Thank you. Larry, anything for visitors tonight? Nope, you're good. How about Anita? Anything from Anita? Okay, well, give her our best. Merle, anything for visitors this evening?
Actually, I do.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I've served the town since 1980, so I can say with firsthand knowledge that the select board most always in appointing individuals to fill offices in the town, they did their best to fill those vacancies or appointments with what they consider to be someone that had experience and knowledge, if they could, in that position. And I just wonder if the board thinks that's a good philosophy, a good way to fill vacancies.
Yeah, I think the board definitely takes into consideration experience in the subject matter area, certainly.
I mean, do you think it's best interest of the people served and also the town, if there's an option to fill a vacancy with someone with considerable knowledge and experience, appoint that person to the position, or someone that has virtually no or zero experience and knowledge.
Yeah, I think the board feels that experience and knowledge is important. I think the board also feels that diversity of representation is important. The board feels that getting, turnover and new people involved is also important. So I think there's a number of factors that come into play, but I do think that experience is important in an appointment, but also of the body itself. And so, if there's a 5-member board, we want to make sure that at least 2 or 3 have a lot of experience going into it.
Okay, have you done that?
We haven't made appointments yet for this
No,
cycle.
In the past.
Well, I know that we've had this
year
conversation
or two.
before, Merle, and I know that you've expressed disappointment in some of our appointments.
No.
But I would say the
I'm really
appointment.
concerned, if I was concerned about the town, still part of the community, I would have quit a long time ago. But I still am able, willing, and like to serve. And I've been shoved aside, as you know. On the Development Review Board, I've been in zoning in Montgomery for over 30 years. I was a zoning administrator. I was chair of the zoning board. I was chair of the planning commission. I was chair of the DRB. And then when it comes time for an appointment to fill a vacancy, you did not appoint me. You appointed somebody with no experience whatsoever. And it just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, so Merle, it's a
Defies common sense, it defies logic.
Yeah, I mean,
I never got to really understand it.
Okay. Well, I appreciate it. We've had this conversation before, at least once, if not twice. It's a 5-member board. I think that we've got a pretty deep bench of experience. We do have new people on. And again, I think one of the things the board tries to do is to make sure that we get new people involved in things as we go along. You are still appointed as an alternate to the DRB until 2024.
If you want to train somebody on a board, does it make sense to take the one with the most experience off of that board?
Well, I think it might be debatable as to whether or not you have the most experience, but I do think that we have members of the board that have plenty of experience.
You're cutting out for some reason. You're cutting out, Charlie. I'm sorry.
So I just said that I think we still have a pretty deep bench of experience on the board, Merle. I'm not disagreeing with you that you have a whole breadth of experience, but I do think the board still has a good bench of experience, and it's got new people now getting more involved and gaining experience.
Well, okay.
Okay. Anything else for visitors tonight? No? Okay, good. Thought we covered that again. Great. Then that brings us through visitors. We have covered the first item on here for old business, which was the grant application. The next item up is the municipal website discussion. Emily, are there any updates on that front?
So we had a meeting scheduled with Zach for this past Monday, and it did not happen just because there was way too much to get done prior to town meeting. So in retrospect, scheduling the Monday before town meeting was probably an abject failure on our part. So we are working to get another meeting on the books with him, and then we'll be looking to make changes and see what he has to say about what his capacity is to do that and be sort of like, more dynamic with the website and making some decisions from there, and possibly coming back to the board looking for some ARPA funding to redo the website from start to finish and just see where we need to go. But the next step is to get a meeting with Zach, maybe for later this week or at some point next week.
Awesome. Great. Thanks, Emily.
Thank you.
And I gotta say, Emily, I love the fact that you keep a paper calendar still. I think that's great.
I need it.
Awesome. So that's the website update. municipal wastewater project. So the update here is, as folks are aware, with the passage of the charter, the charter language has now gone to GovOps in the House. Felicia, our representative, has passed it along to Ledge Council there. She's not definite they can pick it up and run with it this session, but she's going to try to get it in this second half of the session before the biennium ends. If it does not work out, the legislature would have to pick it up at the beginning of the next biennium. If that is the case, there is a chance that a bill currently in the Senate might pass, which would negate the whole exercise, because this bill has the provision that would allow the town to do it without a charter change. So both of those are tracking right now. We'll keep an eye on them and update folks as we get more information. Only other update in terms of near-term action is that the engineers are finalizing the details on the land purchase requirements on the sites. We've got the sites pretty much identified as far as where in general, but now we're looking at exactly how much of what site we would need to purchase. The good news is that from the preliminary engineering report, what they've found out based on the hydrologic and geologic work is that the amount of land at those sites is probably a lot smaller than was initially thought. And so it means we would be looking at purchasing less land, which would mean that it would cost less. The other lands associated would be still on the same kind of uses that they were in, depending on the ownership and what they wanted. But we're hoping to have that by the end of the week so that we can begin discussions with landowners sometime, next week or the following week at the latest, to keep the ball rolling there. But that would be the next step, would be negotiating and securing the land purchases. That's kind of the next milestone that we would need to move into. Any questions from the board on that?
Because you were saying they were looking at 2 sites in the village, and now they're only looking at 1.
Yeah, so
It's a big difference.
so we have discovered some savings anyway. As Mark just pointed out, in the village, we were looking at 2 different disposal sites. What they found now is we would only be requiring 1, given the capacity of the location we've looked at. So the hope is that as final engineering progresses, which we will be working on through the spring and the summer, we will identify more opportunities for cost savings there. But that's kind of the only update at this point is the land purchases would be the next kind of step. Looking farther out, the board would need to draft an ordinance governing the operation of the system. That's something that I'm hoping the board will be able to pick up sometime this summer. There's no immediate need to do that now, but what I'm hoping to do is bring in potentially some outside help with that to discuss what goes into an ordinance like that, what we should be thinking about. Not something we want to rush into, so we'll give ourselves plenty of planning time for that. And that's the update on there. Merle, I see your hand up. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, at this point in time, do you know if everyone where I guess the lines go by are going to be required to connect to the system?
Yeah, so the requirements for connection would be spelled out in the ordinance. And so the board has to draft and then adopt the ordinance first. So I can't tell you with 100% certainty without the ordinance passing, but I can say that in order for the economics of scale to work on the project, those landowners in the project area would need to connect. Otherwise, it throws the user rate calculation off. Essentially, we need everybody to buy into the pie to make their slice affordable. The less folks that buy in, the less affordable it becomes to connect. And if we reach that point of not affordability, the project falls apart.
Yeah, that's like the water system. I agree. That's a concern I'm wondering about the church. If we're going to be, if connecting and how much it's going to cost. That's all. That was my concern.
Yeah. And so the second part of that is the user rates. And so the board will have to decide how we want to structure user rates in terms of commercial, residential, nonprofit. So all of that would get taken up when we discuss the ordinance. But your point's noted, Merle. We'll keep that in mind around the nonprofits. Great. So that is it for old business. So new business. first item here is the 2022 appointments. So we have a whole host of appointments to make. I've reached out to everybody who has a term expiring this year. I have not heard back from everybody yet. Another point of consideration that the board might think about is, in the past, we've talked about posting vacancies publicly to give folks in town a chance to kind of know what's vacant and put their name out for it. So the board could act tonight to make appointments or reappointments, or if it's the board's pleasure, we can delay this until our next meeting and we can get this list up, tomorrow publicly, so folks can have a chance to look at it and then handle the appointments at our next meeting.
Right.
Is there a,
I think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
I think it's a great idea.
okay, so it sounds like the consensus in the room is that we're gonna wait to do appointments at our next meeting, and we'll post a full list of vacancies and all the locations plus the website that we normally do, and then pick up the appointments next time. Until then, the current appointments carry forward, so those, we won't have any empty seats. Yeah, Larry, go ahead.
Can some of those things be eliminated? Or is it by statute, we have to have a weigher of coal and a fence viewer, those type of things?
I don't know if we could. I mean, some of them we couldn't do away with. So for example, the town voted to establish a conservation commission, so the board could not unilaterally, well, I guess the board could just not appoint people and carry forward vacancies. But as far as things like wearer of coal, inspector of lumbers and shingle, I'm not sure. I don't know if we could do away with those. I can find out though. It's an interesting
I
question.
think we ought to do it. It'd make it a lot easier this time of year all the time. Okay.
Yeah, it'd save time.
Yeah.
Although I can tell you, Jacob is gonna be awful sad if he can't be wearer of coal again.
Yeah, I'll bet. He already has my vote.
Emily wants it now, so watch out. Yeah, although Larry, I think we are
be the fence viewer.
we are looking for an inspector of lumber and shingles though, so. if you're interested-
I was thinking more of wildlife.
Inspector of wildlife?
Yeah.
Yeah? Does that mean you're gonna sit down in the shoe parking lot every Friday night?
All right. Anyways, it was just an idea.
Okay, thanks, Larry. I'll ask though, it is a curious question as to whether we need to have those or whether they're just artifacts of a time gone by. Okay, so I will post that list. The one thing that I will note is that our ongoing epic of dog officer vacancy is now back in vacancy. So McKenna had to resign as dog officer due to some personal issues. We currently don't have a dog officer. Liz is speaking with Tracy Ovitt in Richford about the position, gathering some more information, and then we'll bring that back to the board for a potential appointment next time. So we'll handle all those together, but just so everyone knows, the dog officer is currently vacant as well. So that brings us to overweight truck permits.
Okay, that's my cue. Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, Sue.
Thank you.
We hear the good news though.
So overweight truck permits, Newport Sand and Gravel just needs a signature. We've done that one.
Yeah.
On-site septic. Mark, you wanna check that one out? Any issues with on-site septic?
No, that one's good.
Okay, that looks good. Next one is Chevalier Drilling Company. Here, I'll
Do
take.
sign.
No, I guess.
No, that one's fine.
Okay, that one's good. Next up is Kennedy Excavation.
Yeah, that one's good.
Good. That looks good. So Jack F. Course.
Next time you're sitting here.
Okay. Yeah, that one's good.
Okay, Jack, of course, is good. Next we've got working dog septic.
Yeah.
Great, and last up, we've got John French and Sons Trucking.
Yeah.
Great, so then I will make a motion to approve the slate of overweight truck permits, including Chevalier, Jack Corse, John French, Kennedy, on-site septic, and working dog. We had NEQS on here again, but I still don't see their application, so I will have to chase that down from Liz. So, is there a second to the motion?
I'll second it.
We have a second from Leanne. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we can vote. All those in favor of approving the slate as listed, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Great, motion carries 5-0. The one thing that I just noticed under the stack here is that we do have a application for driveway permit. This is for Deegan and Mary Radka on the Reagan Road. So what I might do is hand this off to Mark for review, and we can take this up at our next meeting because it was not warned on the agenda. So I'll pass this to Mark, and we will deal with that. And that brings us through to the end of our agenda. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I did want to ask you about that Tyler.
Yeah, I had an email from him too, and I haven't gotten back to him yet.
Okay.
But I'll copy the board on the response to that.
All right.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Great. We have a motion from Emily. Is there a second? Great. Second from Suzanne. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, we'll vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Great, motion carries 5-0. The meeting's adjourned at 7:33. Thanks everybody for a productive, efficient meeting, and thank you.